Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. We had a few videos recently where we discussed whether being fat is a choice or not, and the conclusion was that yes, it is a choice. Ending up fat, becoming fat in the first place wasn't always a choice. There could be things that you couldn't help that led to that initially, but at a point, continuing to be fat, staying fat, not even trying but just giving up in the end, is most definitely a choice. And the very, very few people that have a medical condition so severe that their metabolism is just crashed and they can barely move because they just have to stay in bed all day, so they barely lose any weight no matter what they do. Well, yes, you're excused, but you are the exception that proves the rule that overwhelmingly, for the vast majority of people, being fat is a choice that is varying degrees of difficult for different people, but difficult does not equal impossible. Still though, it's just a fact that a lot of people just like to pick on fat people. It's an easy group to target. Unfortunately, many people, when they want to feel better about themselves, instead of lifting themselves up, they push others down. So, today, we're gonna put you guys that aren't fat to the test and say that if being fat is a choice, then not being jacked is most definitely a choice. That you're currently not looking like this, that you don't have chesticles so big that there's an area beneath here that never sees the sun. It's because you've chosen that. And I'm gonna tell you what this choice of becoming jacked and stacked has meant for me, like all the choices that are part of that choice. But I'm sure already now there's gonna be guys that are, well, I would call it making up excuses. You would call it, because you're just explaining. I'm just explaining why it's impossible for me, with my work, or I have a kids, family. You don't know what that's like, or I have to prioritize school, or ever since I blew out my knees, all my back keeps getting in the way, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, I happily admit that yes, I have great conditions to prioritize fitness. When I started with this, I didn't have too much on my plate, and I've chosen work, an occupation that it's important for me to stay fit. Being fit is actually part of my job. So absolutely, I have great conditions, a perfect opportunity to prioritize fitness. It does not mean that you couldn't do better. It does not mean that you couldn't prioritize better. I know, because I'm solution oriented. I'm gonna go through all the things and solutions I've done, but I know you could throw me into literally any situation that is realistic, and I would find a way to, at the very least, maintain the progress that I have, and most definitely still make progress in certain areas. And I talk to guys all the time, that is like, I would, but it's just different when you have a family, or my job, I work these hours and blah blah blah, or when you have bad knees, you can't really squat and blah blah. And look, I'm solution oriented. Like, people don't want to think of themselves as being problem oriented, but that's what you are. And when you're always focusing on the reason why it's not possible, it's of course because you want to run from the fact that you could do better choices. Just because someone else could do better choices, or something you have in mind isn't on the table right now. You could do better choices, and you just want to focus on that. I'm solution oriented. I always, when I hear someone describe their situation, I'm just thinking, what would I do in their shoes? And then I tell them, like, okay, but you don't have time to go to the gym and that, but you're at home, right? And you're not lacking money. You can get a pull-up bar, you can get some dumbbells, depending on who it is. Maybe you can get a barbell at a squat track. But when you start going there, there's some like, some makes it, or kind of want to change the subject, because of course, no one wants to face that. I've actually chosen not to get jacked. Same thing with injuries, like, no, but I can't because of this and that. And I know that a vast majority of injuries does not mean that you can't do anything. Like, you still train everything that isn't related to that body part or joint, but many times there's something you can do for that area still. And when I bring that up, options for that, it's of course, I want to run from it too. So look, I'm not going to tell you my entire story, like the timeline, because of course today, these choices, there are still difficult choices you have to do, but just training is something I really want to do, and I really enjoy eating good food. So some things, but I'm going to tell you about the things that were necessary to get there, all right? And for this purpose, also, we're talking about being jacked. Let's say that it's not just about muscle. It's also about not like overweight versus normal weight, but normal weight versus quite lean, abs lean and that. I'm going to tell you, all men, no matter your circumstance, could have muscle on their entire frame, low enough body fat so that the abs show and you have some shape, you have some veins here and there, you have some striations, muscle on your entire frame. that will be on the table for every man and for every woman to have that hourglass figure, nice butt, nice thighs, shape to the entire upper body. That's also on the table for all women. And again, let's not even talk about the exceptions, right? For the vast majority, I say all, but the very vast majority, this is possible. By the way, side note, what the women should do is the same as the men. You might just have slightly different priorities in your program, but overwhelmingly the same thing. But look, so when I start this, I don't like to train. I have no interest in it. I'm not good at it. I don't know what I'm doing. It feels very tough during. I get much sorer. I never want to train when I do it. I have to choose to go against that inner bitch and do it. Further down the line, it also means having to go to the gym when you feel insecure. I have no one to go with. I don't really know anyone that trains that's available to me. So I have to go myself, not be sure what I'm doing at all. If it's even working, do I look like an idiot when I'm doing this? Overcome that. With a diet, even if I wasn't super fat, and it wasn't my biggest issue, I was skinny fat. I definitely had poor habits with junk food. I ate a lot of junk food for my regular meals. I would eat like chips, cookies, stuff like this. Around at other times, I drank too much beer. And just having to go against that was a tough choice I had to do. I remember every time when I went to the store to pick up food, I saw all these things I used to eat. I'm like, man, am I really not eating this? Today, I had to say no to a bunch of social events where I feel like, no, that will just get away for my goals I have here. And if I went, I had to do different choices. I had to drink, okay, not beer, opt for a better option than beer. Today, I, of course, barely drink, but it was tough choices at a point, is what I'm saying. I've also had a bunch of injuries. We talk about the first one I had. This shoulder was just smashed. Being dumb about bench pressing, continuing to bench press when I started to feel something until something very much snapped. Have to walk around like this with my arm. Have to hurry with the other side if someone wants to hug and greet me. Very demotivating. I'm always afraid that I effed up and I can't go on. But so I couldn't bench press, I couldn't dumbbell press, I couldn't do dips. But what I found was I could do cables from a high to low degree. And so I just spammed a whole bunch of sets of that, and all of a sudden, suddenly I could do dumbbell presses. I looked into some rehab exercises, and 9 months later I was back, But this is just one example. This has happened to me many times. Injuries of varying degrees, like either as serious as this or just little owies that force me to do something else. I can't do something that I've been doing that's been working well for me. I've done this many times, and I've literally never stopped. I've never had a break from this. Other than the odd day, like, okay, let's take a rest day, or I'm sick, I have a cold for a few days, or I've trained very hard for a while, so I take a few workouts that I do slightly less on. But I've never just had, during these almost 6 years, I've never just had a week when I've just like randomly take a break. And look, even like I say, I have good opportunity to prioritize this, but I travel, I go on vacations, I am in situations where it's not optimal. I should have said with the diet part, one discipline thing is to stop eating out all the time, stop ordering food all the time, actually cooking the majority. Like this is the most disciplined for me to do today. I don't like cooking, I'm not interested, it's just a task that has to be done. But I cooked and prepared 99% of what I eat for years now. So that's a tough choice to have to prioritize that. But also when I go away, I was in a choir earlier on when I was doing this, a serious choir. So we go on different trips for concerts and competitions. I remember once when we went to a different city in Stockholm. I'm a little worried about my training. First thing I do when I come to the gym, check out what's the gym like. It's not good. What gyms are available close here? Oh, here's one. Oh, they have a week membership. Great. And this is like, even if it's on the free time, it's like a work trip. You have a big schedule. But I managed to get my workouts in. No one else came. Okay, I remember once I brought one other guy, but this was a choice that I did. With the free time I had there, I chose to go to the gym. And I chose to get into fasting, push through a ton of fasts that were very, very difficult for me at the start. Of course, I'm telling you now it's not as difficult, but it's still something I have to choose to do. Let's talk about the dopamine fast. Let's not even talk about them. When I do those to gain certain benefits, that is a tough choice to do. But having gotten into the fast and pushed through many of them where I just want to eat, it is difficult. Choosing not to, that is what has made it so that I don't struggle with hunger as much anymore at all. Even when I'm hungry, it's not that big of a deal for me anymore. I don't crave these junk foods anymore. So that sounds like an easy spot to be in now, right? But it took a lot of effort and tough choices on the way there, right? And one thing too, though, is that a bunch of people, you might have decent habits, you know, you might eat all right, you might sleep all right, you might be going to the gym, but you're not, if you want to choose to be really jacked, you're choosing to always be pushing yourself beyond where you've been. Like, that's something I've done since I started training. I've trained to failure and beyond even, and like from the very start. I probably trained harder than I had to from the start, but also progressive overload. I've always entered every workout, with the exceptions when I know that it's a more like chill workout, which are very few for me, by the way. But I always enter like, okay, I did this last time, I have to beat it this time. I did 10 reps with this weight last time, I gotta do 11 now. I did 3 sets of 5 with this weight, I've gotta go for slightly more weight for 3 sets of 5 this time. And this is something that makes it so, like, even if you are, when you are more fit and you feel better, you have the habit and everything, it's still a choice you have to do every time you go to work out, to take your body and yourself to somewhere where you've never been before, being absolutely ruthless with that. And these are all the choices, guys, that you have to keep making over time, for a long time. And look, I know that the point is that you don't have to, but just because you can think of things in the way, you don't have to do exactly everything you theoretically could do in the perfect situation. You can just do less and stay. It's not an all or nothing kind of thing. I could, if I had to cut my workouts in half for some reason, I could still make progress. It would just be slower, you know. If I had to use less, like not go to gyms that has all the equipment I would want, I could still find options to make it happen. You see, there's always something you can do. There's always better choices you can do. Like I said, maybe it's not in the cards for everyone. If you start late and you have a family, you have a lot on your table to get the absolutely most jacked you theoretically could have, but it is in the cards for everyone to get really good shape, in shape worthy of being called jacked. Do you call it that for a girl too? I guess, you know, just to include you gals within the guys too. Well, we'll end it here. Please like and comment, tell me your story. I would love to hear someone that can't choose this. But comment anyway. It all helps support the channel. The algorithm makes more people find their way here, so it's appreciated. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching, guys. Work on ourselves, jacked and stacked, mentally, physically, spiritually. But of course, that's what I do. I will always tell guys, it will always be easier if you can find a gym, but I will make it work with whatever you have. That's a skill of mine. So you can send me a DM on Instagram or email me. I'll get back to you with my different programs. And if you just want to support me and my content, you can become a Patreon or a member of the channel. Leave a little super thanks comment or super chat on the live streams. It's all very much appreciated, guys. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Not being jacked is a choice. Being jacked is a choice. What choice do you want to make? Peace.